When the Prophet Muhammad passed away, the majority of the Muslims believed that leadership should actually be passed down through elected leaders. And there was a small minority, though, that were later called Shias or Shiites that rejected these elected leaders and instead chose to follow the blood descendants of the Prophet Muhammad himself, which were then referred to as Imams, creating the Sunni and Shia split. Welcome back to another episode, guys. My name is Leroy Kenton, and normally all the talk is about the differences between Sunnis and Shias, or just differences between religions in general. This is right, that's wrong, this is better, that's worse, I'm right, you're wrong, and all that. However, for this episode, I decided to take a look at the similarities between Sunnis and Shias. And maybe those of you who don't know much about this topic will learn something new, and those of you who are very familiar with this topic, you probably will learn something new too, or maybe this will just serve as a good refresher. But in any case, let's just jump into this episode. We're looking at 10 surprising similarities between Sunnis and Shias, starting at number 10. So there's a similarity with Muhammad as a prophet. All Muslims believe that Allah chose a man named Muhammad as a prophet of Islam, and that with Allah's blessing and continuous revelations throughout his life, the Prophet Muhammad guided the Muslims to lead a life according to the Quran, which leads me to the next point actually. So at number 9, there's similarities with the Quran and the Hadith. The Quran is held by Sunnis and Shias as a collection of divine revelations, and also the Hadith is viewed as the sayings, teachings, and the practices of the Prophet Muhammad, which serve as a supplement to the Quran. In a short period of about 22 years, from 610 to 632 AD, the Prophet Muhammad succeeded in leaving a great political as well as spiritual legacy that ultimately led to the establishment of Islamic civilization. Sunnis and Shias 100% both agree on this. For number 8, let's take a look at the greatest virtues. Both Sunnis and Shias believe that piety, which is just another way to say religiousness, the righteous observance of the principles of the Quran, as well as striving for goodness in daily life, are the greatest virtues of human beings. Just gotta be a good person, If only we're that simple. Be a good person. That's it. That's all you gotta do. From there, let's look at the similarities with law and human rights. So both Sunni and Shia Muslims, they agree on the need for a strong, ethical, as well as a moral code to regulate human behavior in all the different aspects of life. Social justice is also believed to be a fundamental right. So regardless of who you are, you got rights, and we need to have moral codes and ethics everywhere because, we're all human beings, we share this planet. We all should be given a chance, a fair chance at life, and be treated with respect and love and appreciation. Moving on to number 6, the pillars of Islam. Sunnis and Shias, they share the belief that there are 5 pillars of Islam, specifically like these 5 practices. The 5 pillars generally associated with Sunni Muslims are the oneness of Allah and the prophethood of Muhammad. Then there's the 5 obligatory prayers. There's also the fasting and charity and the pilgrimage to Mecca at least once in your lifetime. Now the thing is that Shias also recognize the importance of these acts, and they also have fundamental beliefs that are often seen as the 5 pillars of Shia Islam. And those are Tawhid, which is monotheism, which is a belief in the oneness of God. Then there is Adl, which is a belief in God's justice. Then Nubuwa, which is the prophethood. The Imama, which is the succession to the Prophet Muhammad, where we get the word Imam. And then there's Mi'ad, which refers to the Day of Judgment and the resurrection. So this is a similarity that's kind of a difference as well. But the main similarity, though, is that when I talked about these 5 pillars of Islam that are associated with Sunni Muslims, Shias hold those in high regard as well. So although you can find different quote-unquote pillars in each of these sects, they 100% agree on the first 5 pillars that I listed. And then, by the way, we're gonna get more into some of the different beliefs, but before we do that, we reach halfway in this episode. A reminder, guys, if you haven't done so already, now's that time to hit the like button on this video. It really helps new people see our episodes, and if this is your first time here to FTD Facts, go ahead, hit the subscribe button, ring that bell, stay a while. We're on our road to 1 million subscribers. So join us on our journey, as well as you get to learn something new every single day about culture, religion, the people on our planet, and just our world in general if you subscribe here to FTD Facts. Now let's take a look at the last 5 similarities that I want to share. Number 5, we have the lunar calendar. Both of these sectors of Islam, they share the Muslim lunar calendar. The Islamic calendar depends on the movement of the moon. So the beginning of each month is marked by the observance of a new moon. For Islamic events, Sunnis and Shias do not use the Gregorian calendar. It all depends on the lunar calendar. There's also a similarity with Ramadan. So I mentioned the fasting, and that happens in the month of Ramadan. And Ramadan is the 9th month in the Islamic lunar calendar, and it's observed by Muslims worldwide as a month of fasting, as well as prayer, self-reflection, and community. Similarity at number 3 is prayer. So Salah, aka prayers, is an obligatory religious duty for every single Muslim. These prayers are a physical, mental, as well as a spiritual act of worship that is observed and done in certain ways. Muslims, while praying, will stand up, they'll bow, they'll prostrate themselves, they'll sit down, and there may be variations in the specific way in which the prayers are conducted for Sunnis and Shias, but prayer is a full mental, emotional, and physical experience for both, usually accompanied by reciting verses of the Quran. Getting more into the specific of the similarity of charity at number 2, sadaqah, which refers to giving to charity, is also one of the common things between Shia and Sunni Muslim. It's an optional charitable giving, though, that's practiced as a religious duty out of generosity. Both the Quran and Hadith really emphasize spending money to help somebody in need, and also they urge Muslims to give more as an act of optional charity. According to the Quran, it says, spend something in charity out of the substance which we have bestowed on you, before death should come to any of you. And that's found in the Quran, Surah 63, verses 10. And as a matter of fact, in the Quran, Surah 107, verses 1 to 7, you'll find one of the early teachings of the Prophet Muhammad. And that teaching was God expects people to be generous with their wealth and to not be very stingy with it. And finally, the similarity that I want to mention at number 1 is both Sunnis and Shias perform Hajj. This is the Islamic pilgrimage called Hajj. Is performed during the Islamic month of Dhu al-Hijjah, and it's done in the city of Mecca. Mecca is the only pilgrimage site officially accepted by all Muslims, but Iran and Iraq are home to various different sites that are also considered holy to Shia Muslims. So let's just end off there. This was a look at just 10 of the similarities between Sunni and Shia Muslims. As you can see, there may be different variations in how some of these practices are conducted between Sunnis and Shias, but nevertheless, the similarities are there. So you heard from me, it's time for me to hear from you guys. Sound off down below in the comments section about anything that I mentioned in this episode. It's always great looking at similarities and seeing where the common grounds are in religions, cultures. So hopefully you guys learned something new, and if you didn't, well, hopefully this was a refresher. But anyways, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I'll leave you with a recommended episode. It's going to be at this end screen. My social media links are also below in the video description section. Until the next video, take care of yourself, stay safe. I'll see you next time, guys.